All right, today we're going to assemble the 237 primary sump pump in conjunction with the 442 Liberty backup pump. So the tools you're going to need are going to be a tape measure, a 5/16 torque wrench, a hacksaw for cutting the pipe, and also a chamfering tool or a file for beveling the edges. You need a flathead screwdriver as well. You're going to also need some Teflon tape, and you're going to need some PVC glue as well. So we'll start off with the primary sump pump. Again, this is the Liberty 237, which is the 1/3 horsepower sump pump that we use for basically every installation. So the first thing we do with it is it comes with its own paperwork. Is we're going to write down the serial number and the date code of the sump pump. So the serial number is there, and the date code is right below it. So this is the purpose-built brick from Liberty. This keeps the sump pump elevated about 2.5 inches off the basin floor, which is very nice for preventing any sediment from getting in. Comes with a two-sided tape foam gasket on the bottom that will adhere right to the bottom of the sump pump. It is as easy as that, and that's on there now. Getting into the 442 backup pump, it has a lot of components in it, including the check valve for the primary pump. Oh, first thing that comes out is the monitor. This is the non-night eye one, so this is just basically audio and visual alarm system. Comes with a 9-volt battery inside. The check valve assembly for the primary sump pump. The backup pump itself with its own Fernco in here. Gear clamp tightened. The float switch to activate the sump pump. The battery box. Power cord for the charger, and this right here is the heart of the system. This is a Liberty Storm Style charger. It has the float switch that plugs in here, the pump power itself, and then the battery power and charging system there, and then the plug goes in the side here. Now for the night eye system, or monitor I should say, the battery does come with a cover on it here. If you were to take that off and plug it in, this will chirp all the time. So I actually just leave it in place, that cover, and snap the battery in, that way we don't lose it. So just like the primary sump pump, the backup pump comes with its own paperwork, and in that paperwork it includes the model, the serial number right there, and the date code, so you're gonna write that down as well. Put these two pieces of paperwork inside of the provided Ziploc bag. Like that. And I just sneak this right into the battery box for now. Like that. And the battery box comes with its own strap here, and there's 4 stainless screws that come with it that I use to secure down the monitor and the charger. Just so we don't lose our paperwork, it stays in there for now. The batteries are about 80 pounds, so we don't typically transport them in this. We transport them in the box they come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the panel first. Now what we use, 12 by 24 inch, 3/4 inch plywood that we paint, just with black chunk clad paint we use. So this gets plugged into the side of the charger. And I usually do a nice tight nice tight circle here. And it gets plugged right into the bottom of the monitoring system. And that concludes the panel. So that's a nice setup right there, ready to go for the job site. We do 24 inch on purpose because some basements have 24 on center studs. So that way we can mount this to either 16 on center or 24. Okay, moving on to the pump assembly. So the check valve here does not necessarily need to be Teflon or sealed, but I'm a plumber, when I see threads and water passes through, I have a habit of putting Teflon tape on it. Might be a little crazy to do Teflon tape and dope, but I do 4 rotations. I like to carve in the first couple of threads just so it's easier to start. Get this all the way by hand, and I usually go another half rotation or so with a wrench. But you don't want to tighten it too much because we are just dealing with plastic here. So with a slotted screwdriver, we just tighten this down. There we go. Moving on to the pipe pieces. So there are only 3 pipes that you're going to need for this system in the shop assembly portion. It is 2 pieces at 11 inches and 1 piece at 5 5/8. A chamfering tool is essentially a beveler for pipe, so it just goes on the end of the pipe and you just spin it around, and this blade here will then cut a nice clean bevel on the pipe. Once you get that fully seated in there, and we're going to tighten it down. Okay, now they provide a fitting 1.5 inch 90. So this edge here we need to chamfer so you can see that in action, which is nice. There we go. Takes that edge right off there. So if you don't have a torque wrench, you can use a 5/16 nut driver or socket and ratchet. If you prefer, that's fine too. You can either use a little bit of lubrication if you want, or you can use a heat gun, which is what I use. That would be the better option would be a heat gun, because you don't want to be messing around with any kind of grease or whatever that could make the sump pump come apart under pressure. I'd rather it be tight than loose, that's for sure. And once you've got that fully inserted, take your torque wrench, snug it up. Again, if you don't have a torque wrench, you can just use a 5/16 nut driver. There we go. Awesome. So we've got that guy ready to go, and this guy as well. They're ready to be piped together. Okay, the next part is to glue up our fittings and our pipes. So what we get in the box here is, as I already showed you, the fitting 90. We also get this T that has a pre-glued section of pipe in there. And you have a couple of different options in the instructions on how you can install this. One of the options is to actually put the pump up high like this, which I do not like. There's tension and torsion on this plastic here on the housing that could cause a crack or failure. So I like to keep my sump pumps on the bottom of the basin. So what we're going to do with this T is we're going to glue a 90 on that we purchased separately. So we're going to prime them really quick with a clear primer. So taking your PVC glue, we're going to glue together the 90 and the TY now. Because they're going to be both facing straight down, use a square surface to put them together, just like that. I'll glue one of the 11-inch pieces into the 90 on the backup pump. A little quarter turn. Now that we've got our 2 pipes glued up in there, ready to go, we're going to glue on the TY and the 90 simultaneously. Then the 11-inch piece, the second one, goes right on the downstream side of the TY, I almost want to say, being a plumber, but it's actually a T. Right there, a little quarter turn. And then we just sleeve on our quiet check valve. We use the QCV 150 from Liberty. It's really nice. It keeps the thumping sound to a minimum, or almost none actually. And it's clear plastic, so you can see what kind of water the sump pump is pumping out, whether it be sandy, murky, or just clean clear water. We also use it as our union for service, which is great. And then we've got our float switch for the backup pump. Now, the reason why I do 11 inches, there's two reasons. Number one, the two combined plus the fittings gets us out of the basin with a few inches to spare. And also, two, at the bottom of this hub on this 90 here is a fantastic spot to put our float switch, which just snaps on like that. You can see it there. So if I turn these around, I typically have it facing this way. You can see the first float switch on the primary sump pump will engage, but if the power is out or there's a primary pump failure, the water will rise ever so slightly to engage this float switch. That way keeping the water level, you know, within that 12 to 13 inches in the basin at all times. So just to create a little less strain on this float switch wire here, I like to tape them up together with electrical tape, or you can use a zip tie, whatever you like. So that's the pump setup right there, ready to go into the basin. And then again, here's our panel setup here. This is the actual battery that we get right from Liberty, because all the metrics we get from them, the 8-day battery life, cycling every 15 minutes, the 8,000 gallons of water pumped on a single charge, all that stuff comes assuming that you use their battery. So it costs us a little bit more to get this from the States, but we actually get the 31 AGM battery, which is the biggest and best battery they have, because that's what it's spec'd for. So the battery matches the system's metrics are in the brochure goes to the customer, they can expect to get the results that they were told. So this here is the basin. I've already pre-drilled it. We use 1/2-inch holes vertically every 3 inches and horizontally every 3 inches. The basin is an 18-inch diameter by 22-inch. Standard. See in there? There's our boat setup right there. So the pumps, which I'll put down here on the floor so you can see how they fit in there. Pumps fit very comfortably in there. The float switch has room to move. Same with the backup pump float switch. But then we'll surround this with about 7 to 10, depending on how large the hole is, buckets of 1 inch to 1.5 inch clear stone. So that's it. That is a setup for our primary sump pump and battery backup. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.